Picture this: 3 men, 3 nations. One bloody complex web of power that could reshape an entire continent. From the ancient waters of the Nile to the scorching sands of the Sahara, these aren't your typical world leaders, they're the puppet masters pulling strings across a region that Europe desperately needs, Africa can't ignore, and the world is just beginning to understand. Meet Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and Abdelmadjid Tebboune. Their handshakes determine the fate of 200 million people. Their phone calls can trigger refugee crises. Their rivalries could destabilize 3 continents. And here's the kicker: they need each other more than they'd ever admit. Egypt, the pyramid builder. First up, Egypt's modern pharaoh, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. This guy doesn't think small. Since grabbing power in 2013, he's been on the most insane construction binge since the actual pyramids were built. We're talking about a brand new capital city literally rising from nothing. Expanding the Suez Canal like it's a weekend DIY project. Bridges, highways, monuments. If it's made of concrete and costs billions, Sisi's probably building it. But here's the brutal reality check: 105 million Egyptians, many scraping by in poverty, while their president burns through cash like a lottery winner on steroids. Sisi's betting everything that these mega projects will create jobs and restore Egypt's glory days. If he's wrong? Well, let's just say Egyptian history isn't kind to failed pharaohs. Sudan, the general in crisis. Now shift south 1,800 kilometers to where 2 of Africa's mightiest rivers, the Blue and White Nile, meet at Khartoum. That's where General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan is trying to rule a country that's literally tearing itself apart at the seams. Burhan promised stability when he seized power in 2021. Instead, he's now presiding over what might be the world's most catastrophic humanitarian disaster. Civil war isn't just raging, it's obliterating everything. Millions of people have become refugees in their own country. Ancient trade routes that connected Africa to the world for thousands of years? Now they're battlefields. Algeria, the Sahara's guardian. Finally, trek west across the world's most unforgiving desert to meet Abdelmadjid Tebboune, the man sitting on a gold mine that Europe would kill for. He grabbed power in 2019 after his people literally flooded the streets demanding change. Tebboune's got the ultimate power move. Algeria supplies 11% of Europe's gas. After Ukraine exploded, Europe came crawling to him, checkbook in hand. But here's his nightmare: how do you keep European money flowing while your own people are still demanding the revolution they started? One wrong move and either Europe cuts you off or your streets explode again. Here's where it gets wild. Despite ruling completely different countries, these 3 strongmen are facing almost the same nightmares. Nightmare number 1: the Great Migration. We're talking about human movement on a scale that would make biblical exodus look like a weekend camping trip. Millions of desperate people fleeing Sudan's war zones, flooding into Egypt looking for work, crossing Algeria's deadly Sahara trying to reach Europe's shores. Each leader faces the same impossible choice: help them and go broke. Stop them and become the villain. Or, and this is where it gets dark, use them as human bargaining chips with Europe. Nightmare number 2: angry people at home. Remember, none of these guys won popularity contests. Sisi faces economic protests that could explode any day. Burhan is fighting pro-democracy movements that refuse to give up. Tebboune inherited a revolution that never actually ended, it just took a coffee break. The question keeping them all awake at night: how do you stay in power when your own people want you gone? Nightmare number 3: regional chaos. Libya's civil war is spilling blood across all their borders. Ethiopia is building a massive dam that could literally dry up Egypt and Sudan. Terrorist groups are turning the Sahara into their personal playground. It's like playing whack-a-mole with crises: solve one, 3 more pop up. Nightmare number 4: money problems. Egypt owes over $400 billion, that's not a typo. Sudan's economy hasn't just collapsed, it's been obliterated. Algeria is one oil price crash away from bankruptcy. Each of these guys promises their people prosperity while their national credit cards are maxed out. Strange bedfellows. Now here's where this story gets absolutely fascinating. Faced with all these shared disasters, you'd think these 3 would team up, right? Wrong. What we've got instead is the most complex 3-way political dance you've ever seen: part alliance, part rivalry, part mutual hostage situation. The Nile Brotherhood. Sisi and Burhan have become best friends forever, but for the most calculating reasons possible. Egypt has opened its doors to over 500,000 Sudanese refugees. Sisi's offering to play peacemaker in Sudan's civil war. Why the sudden generosity? Here's the thing: the Nile River literally is Egypt. If Ethiopia controls Sudan's water through that massive dam, Egypt dies. Not struggles, dies. Sisi knows that keeping Burhan in power is the only thing standing between Egypt and becoming the world's largest desert wasteland. The anti-colonial alliance. Meanwhile, thousands of kilometers away, Tebboune has become Burhan's loudest cheerleader on the international stage. Algeria stands by Sudan and warns against foreign interference like they're reading from the same script. Why does Algeria care about Sudan? Tebboune sees himself as the champion of African independence. Supporting Burhan lets him position Algeria as the leader fighting against Western meddling. It's political theater, but theater that keeps him relevant on the world stage. The frenemies, but the most fascinating relationship? Egypt and Algeria, historical rivals who now find themselves in the weirdest partnership ever. They're still competing to be North Africa's top dog. They're backing opposite sides in Libya's war. Yet they increasingly need each other like addicts need their dealer. Algeria needs Egypt's massive market. Egypt needs Algeria's energy. Their improved relations are basically a marriage of convenience between two people who can't stand each other but can't afford to divorce. The Puppet Master. Here's the plot twist that would make Hollywood jealous. Burhan, the weakest, most unstable leader of the three, has somehow become the most important player in this entire game. Both Sisi and Tebboune are basically competing to be Burhan's sugar daddy. Sisi offers military toys and refugee assistance. Tebboune provides diplomatic protection and African street cred. And Burhan? He's playing them against each other like a master manipulator, extracting maximum support while promising nothing in return. This creates the most bizarre triangle you've ever seen. Egypt and Algeria, who should be enemies, find themselves on the same team supporting Sudan. But they're doing it for completely different reasons, which means they're cooperating while still trying to stab each other in the back. The result? A regional power bloc that's emerging not from friendship or shared values, but from pure, desperate necessity. Three leaders who might otherwise be trying to destroy each other, now bound together by crises they can't solve alone. So what does this mean for the 200 million people living under these three strongmen? Their alliance of convenience might actually bring some stability to the region, or it might just create the world's most efficiently oppressive authoritarian network. What's absolutely certain is this: from the life-giving Nile to the endless Sahara, every decision these three men make sends shockwaves far beyond their borders. Europe's energy security, Africa's migration routes, Mediterranean stability, it all depends on whether these three can keep their complicated partnership from imploding. Three nations, three leaders, one Nile-Sahara triangle. In a region where ancient history collides with modern power games, where rivers meet deserts and continents converge, the personal relationships between these three men aren't just politics, they're determining the future of an entire chunk of the world. If this complex web of power just opened your eyes to something new, hit that like button, it really does help the channel grow. And if you want more in-depth analysis of the world's most influential leaders and the behind-the-scenes deals that actually shape global politics, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The Nile-Sahara Triangle is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, and there's a lot more to uncover.